and the All Indiana Podcast Network. This is the News 8 Daily 8 Podcast, a Wish TV News 8 update.
Hello, I'm Jeremy Jenkins, and this is your News 8 Daily 8 Podcast for Tuesday, May 13th. We begin in Greenfield, where investigators say an off-duty New Palestine police officer killed a Greenfield police K-9 after the dog bit the officer. Greenfield Deputy Chief Chuck McMichael says it happened just before 8 last night. That is when the K-9 named Ace got loose while his handler was not home. McMichael says the New Pal officer is a neighbor and says the dog bit the officer. He says the off-duty officer then subdued the K-9, causing the dog's death. McMichael says the officer was taken to a hospital with what he described as severe injuries. To a story iTeam 8 has been following, the family of a fallen Beech Grove police officer says they want his killer put to death. Relatives of Bill Toney were some of the many testifying before the Indiana Parole Board during the second hearing for death row inmate Benjamin Ritchie. iTeam 8's Tim Spears reports.
It's time. I'm tired. We're all tired.
Dee Toney Horan, the widow of fallen officer Bill Toney, has waited 25 years for Benjamin Ritchie's execution. At the Indiana Parole Board's clemency hearing Monday, she made clear she's done waiting.
We all have choices in our life, and he chose to kill Bill.
She was the final speaker in a day of testimony for, but mostly against clemency, including Officer Toney's own mother, Joanne Toney.
I feel I am at Bill's funeral all over again.
More than a dozen Beech Grove police officers filled the back of the auditorium. Officer Toney's family sat in front, watching as a board-certified psychologist said Ritchie had physical signs and cognitive defects attributable to fetal alcohol spectrum disorder. Brain damage, Ritchie's defense claims, caused the criminal behavior that led to Toney's death.
The board and the governor should look closely at Mr. Ritchie's case and ask why the death penalty should be given here.
Outside the government building, disability advocacy groups Arc of Indiana and Indiana Disability Rights joined activists calling for clemency, saying Ritchie's brain damage needs to be considered. People with disabilities should have more protections than anyone else convicted of a crime?
If their disability played a significant factor in what happened, it should be taken into consideration.
The Indiana Parole Board will make a non-binding recommendation whether to grant clemency, but it will be the sole decision of Governor Mike Braun.
It is time. It's time for this chapter of my story, our story, to be closed. Time for us to remember Bill's life and not his death. It's time.
Tim Spears for Wish TV and WishTV.com.
A judge has sentenced a man to 10 years in prison for a road rage shooting 2 years ago that injured a hardware store employee. The Marion County Prosecutor's Office says a judge sentenced Marquise Tipton following his conviction for aggravated battery and criminal recklessness in March. Tipton is also accused of firing gunshots after a car crash near a Shell station at East 71st and North Keystone back in March of 2023. One of the gunshots went through a wall at Sullivan's Hardware and Garden, hitting an employee in the eye. In White County, the parents of a 15-year-old girl have filed a tort claim against a school district in Monticello, saying their daughter was sexually harassed by her band director. As we told you about last month, prosecutors charged former Roosevelt Middle School band director Timothy Bulow with sexual misconduct with a minor. Attorneys for the parents say the Twin Lakes School Corporation should have been aware of what they say was Bulow's history of grooming female students. The parents are seeking $700,000 in damages for each instance of alleged abuse. To the nation's capital, where President Trump has signed a new executive order giving drug companies 30 days to lower prices. If they do not, Trump says the U.S. will tie the price that Medicare and Medicaid pays for drugs to lower prices paid by other countries. President Trump signed a similar executive order late in his first term in 2020. A judge struck that order down after a lawsuit was filed by major drug companies. Let's talk sports. The Pacers are one win away from a second straight trip to the Eastern Conference Finals. They will try to pick up that win tonight in Cleveland. The Pacers lead the Cavs 3-1 in their semifinal series. Despite a blowout win in Game 4 Sunday, head coach Rick Carlisle told us that his team has to stay focused.
Talking about, results-oriented things is foolish for us. We've got to really maintain our focus on the process, and it's a difficult process.
Tip-off for Game 5 is set for 7 o'clock tonight. News 8's Andrew Chernoff will be live from Cleveland starting at News 8 at 5. He'll also have a recap of the game tomorrow morning on Daybreak. Turning now to the weather, Storm Track 8 says we are in for a few showers sometime today. Meteorologist Marcus Bailey has your News 8 Daily 8 forecast.
We have to be alert for maybe some thunderstorms this afternoon. Plainfield 62, Fisher 63, and Greenfield checking in at 64 degrees so far this morning. And we're going to have some sunshine mixing in with the clouds here early on. 59 in Lebanon, 63 in Noblesville, Anderson, and Fisher, 65 in Greenfield. In Mooresville, you're checking in at 63 degrees so far this morning. 59 in Greencastle, 65, one of the warm spots currently in Muncie this morning. Storm Tracker, we had this low that was kind of spinning. It's broken down a little bit. We have just a trough, a little wave that's left over. This is lifting to the north, and as it kind of meshes with the heating of the afternoon, we'll likely see more numerous showers and thunderstorms starting to develop for the afternoon hours. Prime time between the hours of 3 and 7. Doesn't mean everybody's going to get wet, but I do think a lot more areas have the chances for rain as opposed to yesterday before we kind of wind things down by later tonight. Numbers will sneak into the mid and upper 70s. I'm going with a high of 77 today. That is still above average for this time of year. Normal high typically around 73 degrees. We're back to the 80s as early as tomorrow. Could be talking record heat, very high humidity on the way late week, and also some severe weather to get through as well. We'll break it down in my Storm Track 8 forecast coming your way in just a few minutes.
To get a peek at Marcus Bailey's full forecast, just head over to wishtv.com, or you can download the Wish TV Storm Track 8 app. And don't forget to check out our Storm Track 8 weather blogs. This has been your News 8 Daily 8 podcast for Tuesday, May 13th. I'm Jeremy Jenkins for Wish TV and wishtv.com.
This is the News 8 Daily 8 podcast, a Wish TV News 8 update on demand. For even more, on demand and on the go, connect with Wish TV on Facebook at wishtv.com and on the free Wish TV mobile app. Thank you for listening, and be sure to like, subscribe, and follow this podcast for updates every weekday morning on the All Indiana Podcast Network and wherever you get your podcast.